Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Osmun. In this week's episode, Hope Place opens its doors. The green flag drops on the Daytona Beach Half-Marathon. The latest airport numbers have arrived and beach services is hiring. Later on in the program, Joanne Magley discusses the economic outlook with the county's Pedro Leon. These segments and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I hope you stay tuned. Homeless families and unaccompanied youth now have a safe place to call home. Leaders recently celebrated the opening of Hope Place, which will provide a temporary and transitional shelter for homeless families with children and unaccompanied youth under the age of 26. It's now located at the former Hearst Elementary School in Daytona Beach. Staff and volunteers provided tours of the center, which can accommodate 300 people at any particular time. It will serve homeless children and their families, but not single homeless adults. Residents will undergo drug screening and criminal background checks before being granted residency. Hope Place is the result of a vision of local business executive and philanthropist Furo Hosseini, who thanked the public and private sector for the partnership that made Hope Place a reality.
The momentous occasion for all of us in our county to be able to house children with their families and unaccompanied youth. We have well over 2,000 children that are homeless in Volusia County schools, and what an opportunity to be able to give them a safe place to live, eat, and be able to go to school, and hopefully help their families get on their feet and be able to move out to a normal house environment that they can thrive.
Working with educators, government officials, builders, architects, bankers, lawyers, and other professionals, all volunteers, Hope Place features a safe and comfortable residential campus complete with life services to lift the burdens of homelessness from students and their families, helping them thrive and achieve independence.
All I can say is wow. Wow. Look what we have done, and it is we who have done it. It's every one of you in this room. Every person in this room has contributed to where we are today.
Hope Place is operated by Halifax Urban Ministries, which is a faith-based nonprofit organization that has served the community since 1981. One of the buildings will be leased out for a child care service overseen by the Early Learning Coalition that will have space for up to 100 kids and will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Catholic Charities will have an office on site to offer counseling and staff training. Eventually, the property will include a library, a community park, and a community garden. Thousands of runners recently experienced the excitement of running through the Daytona International Speedway, the beauty of the city and the beast of the International Speedway Boulevard Bridge during the 2018 Daytona Beach Half-Marathon held February 4th. More than 2,000 runners participated in one or more of the day's events: the half-marathon, half-marathon relay, 3.1-mile lap the track, or Speedway Challenge, which includes both the half-marathon and the lap the track 5K. Volusia County government and Daytona International Speedway again partnered in the popular running event. The race car theme isn't limited to inside the speedway. It continues throughout the course with marshals dressed in racing suits, historic race cars, and spirited runners dressed in their best running costumes. And one of the most important perks of the race, the bling. All finishers received medals, while challenge finishers received an extra medal and a hoodie. Among other perks, half and relay participants got a beach towel, and all runners received shirts and breakfast. Most runners we spoke to were pretty excited after finishing.
This is the first time ever, and it's awesome. Why did you I wanted to run around the track.
This is my group of hot track mamas. This is our third year of doing this, and we love this race. We just absolutely love this race, being on the racetrack.
The race was gorgeous. We had the sunset coming up for the start, and just had a nice gentle wind the whole way. Beautiful day for a race.
It's my first time running this race, so The bridge kind of got me both times, but I just tried to stay strong.
County Manager Jim Deneen took the Speedway Challenge this year. He believes the event will continue to grow in future years and have a lasting and positive impact on the area.
The more we do it, the smoother, the better organized it gets. But in addition, we had, it was what they call a Chamber of Commerce weather. It was unbelievably perfect. Could not have worked out better. I think it's just the beginning, the harbinger of things to come.
After the races, Daytona International Speedway President Chip Weil and Volusia County Manager Jim Deneen presented awards to the top 3 finishers in each age category. All of the results as well as event photos can be found at DaytonaBeachHalf.com. Are you a pinball wizard? Still suffering from Pac-Man fever? The Daytona Arcade Museum in downtown Daytona Beach has just what you need. This week on Volusia Here and Now, we'll join Shelley Safranek as she checks out this throwback to a time when we battled space invaders and a silver ball ruled the gaming industry.
From asteroids and Centipede to Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, if you miss the classic arcade games, you're gonna want to visit the Daytona Arcade Museum in Daytona Beach. This is one retro place you'll want to bring your friends and family to for gaming fun. In fact, the Daytona Arcade Museum boasts Central Florida's largest collection of playable classic arcade games. These classic machines are the personal collection of manager Brian French, who started collecting arcade games at 14.
We've got about 127 or so pieces here at the moment. I believe about 105 are currently playable. We wanted to teach the history behind the machines. So you'll learn, you'll see the first machine ever made, the first handheld games ever made are here, and the history behind them. And it's all from the 70s, from the first game ever made, and we bring it up to 1989 is where we're currently cut off, but we're thinking about bringing in some machines from the 90s.
Hi, welcome to Daytona Arcade Museum.
Now, when you walk into the arcade, you'll feel like you've been transported back in time as hits from the 70s and 80s play and music videos are streamed on a large screen. You'll see display cases with game systems, including the largest collection of Atari artifacts, and then rows and rows of classic arcade games. Since opening, Brian says the response has been great from the public, although some of the younger visitors aren't quite sure of themselves when playing on the older game systems.
Some kids really get it, and they love it. Some don't get it at all. It's funny to watch people try to even start the games. They think the games are broken. They don't know how to start the games even.
To help the younger generation feel comfortable as they become familiar with the older game systems, Brian created a kids area in the lobby.
This is the prize redemption area. These are all token operated machines. Not really part of the museum. Our lobby arcade basically, where you can win prizes. And they're the classic machines again, from the 80s and early 90s.
Once the kids get comfortable, they quickly visit other areas of the arcade and it's game on. So one of the cool things is that no more trying to find quarters or trying to find an ATM for cash. You just pay your admission and it's unlimited gaming.
Most people come and they want to spend all day. You can, for $19.95, you can spend all day here. Google says that the average time is 3 hours. So for the price, you get pretty good bang for your buck, I think.
And if you work up an appetite while here, they've got you covered with their Retro Bites Cafe and Bar, which serves food, beer, and drinks.
We have New York pizza. I'm originally from upstate New York, so we do New York pizza here. It's all made in-house, fresh dough, made every day. We wanted to keep it simple, like it was back in the day. You'd pretty much get a pizza or a calzone, stromboli, something like that.
Visitors also will notice the upstairs VIP area, which can be the perfect location for a party. Brian said birthday party and group packaging is available. The museum offers continuous specials and even twilight gaming, which begins after 6 p.m. A single-day admission is $19.95 for adults, $14.95 for children 13 and under, and kids 4 and under are free. Discounts are also offered for active and non-active military, law enforcement, firefighters, and seniors. The museum is open Wednesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday from noon to 9 p.m. You can visit DaytonaArcadeMuseum.com for more details and also follow them on Facebook. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Shelley Safranek.
Opportunities for getting sick are everywhere. Viruses hang out in lots of places, and they love to follow you home. But there are ways to beat them, and beat them before they even have a chance to cause you problems. Vaccinations are like personal shields against disease. They're your first line of defense against many common infections, like tetanus or flu. Interested in learning more? Visit flu-free-florida.com and learn how to keep vaccine between you and disease. A message from the Florida Department of Health.
Passenger traffic at Daytona Beach International Airport remained flat in December, partially due to an unpredictable power outage at another airport. Passenger traffic at Daytona Beach International Airport declined 0.6% for December in comparison with the same month of 2016. During the month, 56,038 passengers flew in or out of the county-operated airport compared to 56,349 passengers last December. The slight decline in numbers is credited to a power outage at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, which affected Delta airline operations for 2 days.
That was because we had 8 flights canceled for Delta in December because of the power outage that they had. So we lost about 1,200 seats overall. So if we would have not had those canceled flights, we'd definitely been up again. That would have marked, I think, 4 months straight of passenger traffic increases over the previous year. But for the year ended 2017, we ended on a 21-year high. So that's really outstanding.
Despite the December challenges, overall, the year ended well for the Volusia County Run Airport. Load factors remained strong, gaining 3% compared to 2016. The airport expects to see continued growth in 2018.
All signs continue to point upwards. I hope to have another record year. I hope that this is a 22-year high.
For more information about your hometown airport, you can visit flydab.com. Have you got what it takes to be a Volusia County lifeguard? Volusia County's Beach Safety Division plans to hire nearly 150 part-time lifeguards to help beachgoers safe this summer. Applicants must be at least 16 on or before June 1st and be able to swim 500 meters in under 10 minutes. They also must be able to swim 50 yards in under 30 seconds and run a half mile in under 3 minutes 15 seconds. Starting pay is $11.44 per hour. Those who meet the requirements must attend tryouts in February or March and attend the Volusia County Beach Safety 48-hour ocean rescue training and complete a 40-hour first responder and CPR course or have proof that they've completed these trainings.
Not only do we train you up physically, but we train you up mentally and we work on your people skills. We are the most visible part of county government, so we are literally ambassadors. So our people have to possess not only good thinking skills, critical thinking skills, but they have to possess people skills because they are up there on a platform on the beach in front of everybody to see. So this might be a high school job or a college job, and then some people move on to their real jobs, as we like to say, or their careers. But there are a lot of people in this town, believe it or not, that are either lawyers or doctors or prominent people that did a stint as a lifeguard, and they will relay to you the things they picked up working as a lifeguard helped them in their later on in their careers. It gave them the wherewithal, it gave them the confidence, it gave them those thinking skills and the ability to kind of move forward, and they appreciate that part of their lives and that part of their career.
Tryouts begin February 17th and will be held in 4 locations across the county. For a list of tryout dates, you can visit volusia.org/beach or you can call 386-239-6414. Now let's join Community Information Director Joanne Magley in the studio with her guest, Pedro Leon, Business Manager from Volusia County's Economic Development.
Thanks, Amber. Well, the economic news across the country and here in Volusia County continues to be very positive. So today, we'll take a look at the key economic influences for the local economy for the fourth quarter of 2017. So joining us in the studio today is Pedro Leon, Business Manager in the county's Economic Development Division. Hi, Pedro.
Hi, Joanne. Nice to be with you again.
Thank you so much for being here today. So every quarter, you and the Economic Development team, you update the community with a quarterly economic development breakfast, and that's held at the airport, and it was held just this past Friday. So give us an overview of the information that was presented there.
For the fourth quarter of 2017, the good news stories continue. Our permit activity has been stable. Our labor force has grown somewhat. We are seeing a reduction in our overall official unemployment rate. That's now at 3.8%. Now, a year ago this time in the fourth quarter of 2016, that number was 5.1%. So we've seen a significant change, and that's been true for both the state and nationally. We've also seen a drop in the number of unemployed persons, over 3,000, and that's a drop for us in that one-year period of about 24%. So we're very happy to see that. Consumer sentiment is also up in the state of Florida. There's been a lot of optimism. The numbers reached in December 2017 haven't been that good since May of 2002. So overall, we are seeing a great deal of stable, positive signs of our recovery from the recession.
How does that translate when it comes to wage levels here in Volusia County?
Well, in looking back to the past, say, 10 years or so, and looking at where we were just before the recession, you would take a table that would show a line graph of modest increases every single year. And if you take that same graph and you look at it at just the last 3 years, we are showing steady improvement. In 2014, we had a 3.3% increase, 14 to 15, and then a 3.5%, and then for 2016, a 1.8% increase in average wage level. And that puts us at about $36,600 for the year. And the good news for that extends that further is that anecdotally we've seen from the UCF Center for Economic Competitiveness, their director, Dr. Sean Snaith, their economist, has forecasted that over the next 5-year period, that number should get even higher.
All right, so let's talk about the construction industry. For the quarterly meeting, you show a series of slides that talk about permit activity and such, and numbers that go with those slides. So let's start with residential construction. How did we do in the last quarter for residential construction?
Well, the third quarter of 2017 was a very strong quarter for us. So the question going into the fourth quarter was, would we be able to do, as well, considering we've had such a strong year? Well, as it's turned out, 2017 for residential new construction was a banner year in terms of total permit issuances. We've issued over 400 permits for both the unincorporated part of Volusia County and all of our cities, reached 431 residential permits. And leading the way were the communities of the city of DeLand and New Smyrna Beach. Each of those communities issued over 100 residential permits each just in the fourth quarter. Now, what does that mean for the year as a whole? It meant that we were issuing 400 permits every quarter for all of 2017, and we reached almost 2,000. We reached 1,933 residential permits for the year, and that's just a remarkable showing for us.
So how does the number of permits relate to the value of the permits? Because I know depending on the type of construction makes a difference with the value of that construction.
That's correct. What we track in terms of an indicator for our economy is new construction. So these would be new permits for new residential construction. And what we found in terms of value is that we reached $146 million for those same permits in the fourth quarter of 2017. For all of 2017, that grand total of value is over $600 million, approaching 616 to be a bit more specific. Now, if we go back to the 3-year picture, we actually have grossed a permit value for those issued new construction of just over $1.5 billion. And that's just a remarkable sign of how strong our recovery has been in this recession going forward.
And so talking about recovery and keeping with the homes, we haven't really talked about foreclosures too much, and there's a good reason for that.
Well, that's correct. Now, at the height of the recession, they were quite an economic headwind. Back in, say, 2010 or 2012, you had peaked at over 900 monthly filings for foreclosures. So the question is, well, since that dark period, where are we now? And in last May's most recent filings, that number is down to 33. And that's just a remarkable sign of the last 10 years, or so, showing this trend. And so it doesn't appear to be a headwind factor in our economy anymore. On average, say you go back to 2005, just before the recession started, you say, well, what were the monthly filings on average back then? Well, that number was about 133. So we've actually improved upon that number in this part, showing again that it doesn't seem to be a factor.
Yeah, that's great news. All right, let's switch gears over to the commercial construction numbers. Across Volusia County, there's been a number of projects underway. Those are probably more of the more visual projects that people see when they're driving around, because they're usually pretty large and large. Talk about how we did in fourth quarter for commercial construction permits.
Again, some very positive news for the fourth quarter. One example would be that we've had a dozen permits, each valued at over $1 million, and I'll come back to those in a moment. But let's talk about the numbers. The numbers for the fourth quarter were 24 commercial permits at a value of about $43 million. For the year, we've had just over 90 commercial permits issued, roughly $390 million in value. And if we again go to our 3-year look back, we see 311 permits were issued in the 2015, 2016, and 2017 period, giving us $870 million worth of commercial permit value. And that's obviously a very strong showing for a community of our size. Now, in terms of some of the specific projects for this particular fourth quarter, the Messina by the Lakes Apartments project in New Smyrna Beach is an $11 million permit value project, and that's been issued. The Daytona Honda project is at about $8 million, and at $3.5 million each is both the Stetson Aquatic Center and the Halifax Hospital project in Deltona.
Oh, wow. All right, so all this construction obviously means lots of construction workers. So tell us how the job market is doing overall, not just in construction, but overall here in Volusia County.
Well, you're quite right. Construction has done well in terms of job gains, but overall we have gained jobs this year. 12 of our 14 major industry sectors, as we look at the overall categories of the economy, gained jobs. Again, that's 12 out of the 14. And of the 2 that didn't, they were not a significant percentage. So we've gained about 4,600 jobs from this time last year, year over year. So you ask the question, well, what is contributing to this growth in jobs? Well, we clearly see that 70% of that growth is coming from 2 industry sectors: professional and business services and construction. Now, professional and business services has a variety of businesses in them. They're quite broad. It includes engineers, lawyers, all of the scientific work, administrative matters, accounting, landscapers, anything in the category of professional and business services. And we've seen a remarkable growth. So a good sign of stability, especially since our unemployment has gone down and our labor force has expanded.
Are there other signs that our economy is, just back?
Well, we do look at our gross domestic product, or GDP, which is that kind of total value of all of our economic goods and services. It's something that is ranked both nationally and looked at regionally and for our community. It is done by MSA, or Metropolitan Statistical Area, and that's a geography that includes us and Flagler County. And we thought that we would go further this time and look at how we are doing regionally and compare ourselves to our coastal neighbor, Brevard County, and their MSA. And the question is, okay, looking back to 2007, how each year, in terms of annual GDP growth, have we come back? And if we've come back, how well did we do? And we have done well. We have found that from 2007 to now, we have gained approximately 14% in overall GDP. And that number is close to $2 billion worth of GDP value, roughly, say, $1.9 billion in value. Now, our coastal neighbors were on the positive side, not to that level. They are at about 6.5% growth. But what it does tell us is that we are certainly doing well in the long term as we look back and look forward. And that's despite the fact that, different from our neighbors, we don't have a military base or seaport or spaceport. And so I think it shows that there are significant signs of stability in our community going forward.
So how can people get more information if they want to learn how to expand their business or get more of the data that you were talking about here today?
The best way to learn all about the many different things that we participate in and all of the partners that work with us is to going to www.floridabusiness.org. Now, we have recently been in the process of updating and refreshing a number of those pages. So I think listeners will be surprised to find lots of good information on our community, on how we're doing economically, and on businesses in the area.
All right, Pedro Leon, Business Manager at the county's Economic Development Division, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Joanne. It's been a pleasure.
Amber, back to you.
Thanks, Joanne, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Osmun, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.